Hey guys, so I figured I would do a summary tutorial since it is summer after all. Maybe some of you don't like coconuts, but for those of you who do, this is a great craft. So we have a coconut shell here. It's been hollowed out. Basically, all you have to do is crunch it up into tiny little pieces about this size, and then go a step further and get it into pendant size. So I have a piece that I think is pretty cute right here, which I'll be working on in the video. Our goal is to turn it from this to this. So keep watching and I'll show you how it's done. Okay, so the first step is to get all of this fuzzy stuff off, which I actually did already, but it's pretty easy. You just take some coarse sandpaper or a nail file and we're just gonna rub it off. And I actually find instead of going like this, sometimes it's easier just to lay the sandpaper down and go small circles back and forth on top of it, and eventually you'll get all of that weird membrane off of it. Okay, so after that step is done, and you do the coarsest one, and you get the edges. Now, if you find that it's really rough, you can see it's like tearing my stuff up here. There's not much you can do about it if you aren't familiar with power tools. I'd say the best bet is probably a bandsaw. You could probably shape this into something awesome. Or I guess if you want to go the slower route, you could use just a handsaw. But as for shaping it by sandpaper, it's gonna take forever. A Dremel might help, but you're pretty much just picking a shape that you can work with. As you can see, this one over here was pretty much that shape, and I was lucky enough to use these clippers, which I use for tile cutting, and I was able to pinch the shape off very carefully. I kind of drew a guideline to match the other side, and then just crunched it and prayed, because it can shatter in places you don't want, as well as probably it's kind of difficult and unpredictable, and you may end up ruining the piece more than you want. So I'm actually just gonna 86 that piece, and we're gonna try a more simple piece to sand than a circle. I'm always making things more difficult for myself on video. Don't know why I do that, but yeah. Okay, so let's try to get this into a acceptable shape, if possible. Come on, you. Come on. Alright, I think that's as good as I'm gonna get it with this. It's very, very hard stuff. Yeah, my hands are not gonna... Ow, yeah, alright. Good job, Lisa. Okay, so the goal here is to work from the coarsest sandpaper down to the finest, and you're just gonna hit the top, the edges. You can do the back just to even it out a little, but there's not much you can really do about that. That's pretty much as good as it's going to get. So I'm just gonna speed through this, and once again, thickest to finest. I believe I'm going from 100 to whatever this one is, 600. Finer the better, the more shine you'll get. Alright, here we go. Okay, so after all of our sanding, we have a pretty satiny finish on it as compared to what we started with, which is that. So the next step, I actually take a nail block and I go for the buff and the shine. Smooth might actually be okay and even out as well. It's just that I have the fine sandpaper, which I find easier than rubbing a block on it. So, buff. And this may not actually do as much as I think it does, but I swear it gave it more shine in the end. So, I just hit it with the buff part. And then the shine. Alright, so it's still a little bit different, and that's because I have one little trick up my sleeve that I used on it. You can see the difference. So what I take is mineral oil, or if you have a butcher's block and you have special oil for that, that'll work too. So just take some mineral oil, and we're gonna rub that onto our shell. Just get it in all the nooks and crannies. And I know some people hate oil on their hands. Don't worry, you can go wash them. It's not gonna kill you. In fact, I think it even helped my nails the other night. So this is good stuff. Alright. So ideally, I would probably let this sit a good 5 minutes just to soak it in. I was figuring the same concept as a butcher's block when you oil your board to protect it. So yeah, you generally will let it sit and soak in and then wipe it off, but I'm not that patient right now. So we're going to take a rag and we're going to get the oil off. So make sure it's nice and buffed and clean so it's not oily. And there you have it. You have your pendant. The last thing to do is drill a hole in it. So I have a little hand drill here that I purchased at the craft store in the woodworking section. And you're going to pick where you want your hole to go. So I kind of just flip it around and look at it from all angles until I get a feel for which way hanging would look best. And I'm thinking dead set in the center would be fine for this one. So coconut shells are relatively hard, so you're going to want to go slow. Alright, so I made a little pock mark as a guide, and now you just go. If you have a power drill, feel free to use that. I just don't feel like getting the power drill for this right now. Not to mention the noise would probably annoy you guys, so I'm going the safe route. Alright. So just gonna carefully get through this. Sorry if I was off cam, I'm trying not to botch this. Alright, come on. Almost. Come on. There There we go. Alright, so just back it out, brush it off, and you've got a hole. So you can hang a jump ring in there and then put it on a cord. And you'll have a unique coconut pendant. They really are a labor of love in a sense if you're doing it all by hand, because they do take a lot of work. And not much time, but work. My hand is killing me already just from doing this one. So if you have the tools to sand it with an electrical sander, go for it. Mass producing them by hand, probably not a good idea. You're looking at nice arthritis in the future. So yeah, that is how you would do the pendants. Just go ahead, stick your jump ring in there. I actually prefer the oval ones for this kind of project because it seems to settle better and give you more room to hang